Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's Coach Zach. Welcome to my obligatory addiction recovery hoodie episode. Launching off this project, whole recovery, and this is something that I'm going to have on YouTube. I'm going to have a podcast version, and it's going to encompass multiple facets of my life, starting with my body. First and foremost, my body right now, I'm overweight. I'm somewhere between 225 and 230 depending on the day. Depending on how much fucking calories I load up on the day before, and if it's included sugar or grains or dairy, my problematic foods that make me bloat and retain water. My weight fluctuates pretty quickly, so I know that as I get my routine dialed back in, even though I'm about 230-ish now, I'll be back down to 220 probably within like a week at the most. And that might sound crazy if you've never looked at the variables of what contributes to weight gain and weight loss, but like I said, a lot of it's just water retention from some unhealthy eating patterns. My routine has not been good this last year, maybe even a little over a year. Basically, my sleep-wake cycle has been terrible for a long time. I shouldn't say terrible. Let's try to get objective. Let's try to quantify things a little bit. On average, I've slept between 5 hours and 45 minutes and 6 hours a night. For many, many years, I've been relying on naps, at least one nap during the day, almost every day for a long period of time since I've been a full-time dad. Going on about like almost 4 3/4 years. That sounds weird. What would be a way to say that? About 4 years and 9 months, we'll say, okay? So just my routine in general does not produce enough power on a daily basis. I drift in and out of frustrations, trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to get better at that skill set, trying to be a healthy dad, trying to be a loving, caring husband, trying to take care of myself, to have the energy and the power and, the emotional capacity, the resilience in order to accomplish the things that are most important to me. And I often, more days than not, end up feeling like I'm failing at one or more of those, or sometimes even all of them, when, I get really tired, really fatigued, depression starts caving in on me. It can get pretty bleak. So let's start with my body and what's going on there. I've had things dialed in before I didn't have him, before my wife had her first son, before he arrived. By the way, I hate when couples say that. It drives me up the wall when they say, we are having a baby. No, my wife had the baby. Yes, we are becoming parents, but I really feel it's one of these weird dynamics right now where everybody needs a fucking gold medal for everything they do. And it's like, yes, as a husband, as a soon-to-be father, you can be supportive, you can be loving, you can absolutely, I tried to be as hands-on, I tried to help as much as possible, I tried to partake in that experience. Ultimately, though, let's face it, when women give birth, they are having an experience that I will never in my life be able to even comprehend. The sensations, the fear, the pain, childbirth is just an amazing thing that, watching my wife deliver both of our sons, I can't even imagine anything that I will experience that comes anywhere near that. So a little tangent right now. I'm going to have lots of tangents. If you don't like tangents, well, then you're going to have to find another recovery resource. But it's hard to say. Actually, I do know what the priority is. And like I said, the priority is my sleep-wake cycle. It's taken me a long time to become able to admit to myself that having this sleeping pattern, having the dysfunctions that I do are related to lack of sleep and this chronic fatigue problem. I have abused caffeine on and off. People will have varying levels. Some people talk about drinking 2 or 3 Bang energy drinks a day. That type of consumption, I've never hit quite those numbers. Probably my worst days when I'm really abusing it, I probably get upwards of, 500, 600 milligrams of caffeine. Recovery and problems behaviorally are not based on, who drinks the most alcohol, who drinks the most caffeine, we're always trying to quantify things and say, this is worse than this. And really what the behavior comes down to, is the behavior serving your purpose? Is it giving you, strength, power? Is it giving you certainty in order to go out on a daily basis and do what you need to do to complete the mission that you feel called to do? Are you accomplishing that? And if the answer is no, or if the answer is I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm completely lost right now, then these behaviors that are distracting us, or in some programs they call it sedation, like in the Wake Up Warrior program I participated in at the entry levels last year. Depending on who you're talking to, what coach, they're going to have basically the same terminology. We are doing something to distract ourselves from these bigger issues rather than feeling lost, rather than feeling pain, rather than feeling discomfort. We have these behaviors that come in, numb all those feelings, and allows us to convince that, hey, everything's a-okay, or it's good enough, or we just don't believe in ourselves. We think life's a shitty experience, or we think we're destined to be fat, or we're destined to be, fill in the blank, dysfunctional in some way, and then we're just using these behaviors to perpetuate those stories. So my sleep and my sleeping patterns have been really messed up. I don't get enough sleep. I usually get to sleep too late. I know this. I've been exposed to this material. Probably I started seeing sleep pop up in some of the things I was studying like 12 years ago. And, I want to kick myself in the ass and berate myself even more and beat myself down because it took me so long rather than just accepting it right then. But we each have to reach a point in our lives where we've tested things long enough to admit that it is a problem that's preventing you from your purpose, and then move forward and do whatever is required to fix that problem. That's the stage I'm at now. I'm working on accepting it. I'm working on accepting the pains, the struggles, and the possibilities that come from these long-standing patterns. Let's face it, I'm not going to make this video, and I might not reach out and help other people if I haven't been through that ringer myself. So yes, it's painful. Yes, it sucks. Yes, I absolutely want it to stop. At the same time, pursuing this path, there's a lot of possibilities, and I hope to help a lot of people struggling with these things, because honestly, if you go out, you're going to see a little bit about sugar recovery. There's not really anything about caffeine addiction recovery. And these are the things that now I'm able to tackle now that I've been sober off of alcohol for going on 2.5 years. Well, I don't know, here we go with the dates again, 2.25 years, something like that. But having removed the biggest problem, now I'm seeing that, hey, okay, I'm better, I'm healthier, but I can still even make a bigger leap by tackling some of these other issues. So with my recovery, MED means minimal effective dose. Caffeine is it can be used for production. It can be used for enhancing our life. Daily drinkers of caffeine like myself, what we're actually experiencing what's called a reverse withdrawal, which is that the energy, the quote unquote energy, or the sensations, or the mindset that I get into, the emotional state I get into, would be entirely achievable most days without caffeine if I was not addicted to it. So if I am able to successfully remove it for a couple months, reset my neurotransmitters, there's some great videos, I'll link to this. Oh geez, who's the guy that's done the one that I like the most? Oh man, I'm totally spacing. Shit. Ari Whitten. He's had some great things on his Energy Blueprint podcast and website where he talks about the brain adaptation that comes from caffeine abuse. I did a podcast about it a while ago. I did a blog about it a while ago. And here I am, and I still have not slayed that demon years later. So it is a big problem if we're using it all the time. If I'm not physically addicted to it, if my brain chemicals have not shifted in to be dependent on the caffeine to function, then I will get a temporary boost if I'm using it sporadically. And again, going back to Ari Whitten, he talks about different ways of cycling on and off. You use it for a day or two, you go off for a few days, maybe use it for one day, maybe use it for a couple days in a row. And if you find yourself getting back into where you're like, oh man, it's gonna make me more fatigued, then you take, a handful of days to a week off. But we stay in that physiological space where it's gonna provide a benefit, but the costs are not mounting and draining us of energy. Part of my recovery is increasing my range of motion. That feeds into my training goals. My priority is to increase my capacities and my skills in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, with the school SBG, Straight Blast Gym. To do that, I need to get stronger, and also, more importantly, I need to be stronger in greater ranges of motion, particularly my shoulders. And actually, number one priority with that is my hips. I have a herniated disc in my L2, which I did 21 years ago. I avoided surgery. I'm in better shape now than I was back then. I'm stronger, I'm faster, yada, 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 than I was at 19. So I was able to avoid surgery even though I was told I was needed. But now I need to even increase my, hip mobility and my hip strength in those ranges of motion in order to have a better jiu-jitsu game. I need to up my conditioning again. I would say right now have at least 30 pounds of fat I can metabolize if I do things properly, and if I live for my purpose on a daily basis, put myself in power every single day, really remain focused. And when I start to drift and I want, to distract myself, to sedate, to not face the pressures and the stress that I'm feeling, that's where my mindset work comes in, and just dedicating myself to getting back on track. Nutrition, what I found best for me personally, is a mostly carnivorous diet, aka like a hyper-carnivore diet, where at least 70-75% of my nutrition is coming in the form of meat. There are some starches I do okay with, like rice and rice noodles, like if I have a serving. I can even get away sometimes with some wheat, like just one small serving, like pasta or bread. The issue is that those substances trigger me, even if and I hate to use that word that you just so fucking overused right now, and it's always to do with emotional mindset stuff. It seems like, oh, I'm triggered, I'm annoyed, I'm angry. In my case, I can be physiologically full, and my stomach will be, I can feel the walls of my stomach being completely filled with food, but those substances and the effect it has on, my brain and my body makes me want to continue to eat. I'm in a state where I'm looking to continue eating, and more often than not, I end up, partaking in that, especially with different types of sugars. I'm considering starches and things that raise glycemic, things with significant glycemic load that's going to elevate blood sugar. I'm kind of all lumping into one category. So I'm very mindful of those foods. Those are the ones that I find triggering me, which is why I'm going to entitle a future video in the upcoming future that food addiction is bullshit, because we're not addicted to food. We're addicted to these hyper-palatable substances that have been made to make us want to eat more and more and consume more of them, okay? Highly processed foods are what's causing the problem. I've yet to coach somebody that says, you know what, for the life of me, I cannot stop fucking eating steak and broccoli, or, I cannot put down the chicken breast, or any whole real food. It's very hard to abuse. I won't say it's impossible. Somebody will go out there and prove me wrong, but if I'm doing the whole foods that work best for my body, that is food, that is nutrition. There's no way I can be addicted to food, because food is giving me the energy and the resources I need to go achieve my purpose in life, okay? Get back to that. So non-food items I refer to differently than food. That's my take. It will make sense in my head. Hopefully it can help somebody else out as I proceed. And who knows, maybe my opinion is going to evolve too, because obviously I don't have it dialed in, hence the series of these videos. We'll see how that goes. Snake fasting, there's something called the snake diet with extended fasting using electrolytes. Extremely effective, rapid fast fat loss. Just coming from the routine, you can start off, you can do 48 to 72 hour fast. Push for that 72 if your body's comfortable doing it. Comfortable being like, hey, I'm not completely falling apart and I'm a shit show. It's going to be a little uncomfortable to go without food for a couple days, but your body will shift. But the electrolytes support that. I'm going to link to his website. He has an amazing, some amazing transformations. His name's Cole Robinson out of Canada. With these nutrition things, I should mention, I've done a pure carnivore diet, keto diet, paleo diet, standard bodybuilding type diet, 5 to 6 meals a day, smaller portions. So I've played around with everything, and I've really found what works best for me. The thing for me is, again, managing my energy on a daily basis, keeping my energy high, keeping my focus on long-term progress in my business and my family and things that are most important to me. I get in trouble, like all addicts, when I drift into, I want to feel good right now. I don't like the way I'm feeling. I'm tired, I'm stressed. I want to feel awesome right this second. It looks like we get a first appearance of my sons on the very first podcast. Here we go. So training, briefly mentioned, covered everything. I'll be breaking this into daily and weekly plan. There's some great systems out there. I'm going to be using what's called a self-journal. I'm going to put some links to that as well. Part of the planning process that I've been exposed to, I've had multiple business coaches who have shown me really good daily planning techniques. I also really like the strategy in Wake Up Warrior. Garrett J. White, founder of Warrior, he has a whole process called trying to gamify and score your weekly progress, coming up with an absolute essential thing you need to tackle for your business, and then breaking it down into 4 key actionable steps. So you got your 1 door you have to accomplish and the keys. If somebody wants to learn more about that, comment, and I'll send you a link to their programs. I'm not one of their coaches, but I do reference where I've learned these from. I think it's very important. I'm not claiming I've ever, discovered or invented anything. The one thing that I have done successfully in the last couple of years, I've been increasingly willing, faster and faster, to just put my ego aside, ask a bunch of questions, and learn what works for people who are successful, and put my biases out of the way. What's up? Oh, don't wipe off my board. Hey, no chase right now. I gotta finish up my video, dude. I need a couple minutes. Can you guys go play out in the living room, please? All right, I think I covered the bulk of everything. There was a couple details I'm going to save for tomorrow. I think this is my cue that my video time as a parentrepreneur, dadpreneur is officially over.